What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Dev Talks podcast with your host, Travian. So glad to be here. I appreciate it more and more, and I'm so motivated to keep pushing these episodes out, especially based on how episode one went. I appreciate everyone who listened and also everyone who shared. And I've been thinking a lot about the podcast's future. And I know last episode I was thinking about doing it twice a week. I'm gonna move it to weekly, every Tuesday for now, just so that I can wrap my head around and try to make these podcasts as best as possible for everybody. And I just want to continue to really build a format that's good and produce the best that I can possibly put out. So thanks again to everybody who showed out and listened to the first episode and shared it. I appreciate it greatly. This episode, we have a really familiar topic for me. I have a lot of experience in it, and I believe it's going to be a banger. So this episode is going to be about internships, especially in tech. I remember going into an internship and trying to find one very first time without any experience, and I just want to be able to put some of my own knowledge about what I went through and finding an internship, applying resumes, interviews, and also what to do to really maintain an internship and what to do while you're in them, the do's and the don'ts, personal experiences, and things just like that to really keep you going and give you an idea of what to do, how to do it, and just everything about that. So, thanks again for tuning in. Let's get into this episode. And we're back. So, I know internships, especially for like everybody who goes to college or probably even done college or did like some type of technical boot camp or things like that. An internship can be something very big for, especially for people who are trying to learn, to get more information, to build on their connections, see where they want to work at, and just going from there. An internship is such a big deal to a lot of people, and I believe it's very important to go out and try to get an internship to get that experience. And I think internships is one of the best ways to build experience without having so much weight and pressure on you to basically like get the job done or be perfect. Like there's a lot going into it, especially like feeling imposter syndrome and a bunch of things like that. But just internships, in my personal experience and going through them, and really helped me a lot personally, even though I didn't know the ins and outs of going into one. So I kind of wanted to like help anybody who wants to either apply or need information on what to do about them. Like I'm more than happy to always share about that and put my experiences into that to help other people too, because I would believe that my interning experiences were very successful, especially with being able to get a return offer for where I was interning and also being able to achieve multiple um, contracts to return with the company I interned at again, which was Zendesk. Same place that I was mentioning in the first episode where I'm currently working now. So one of the biggest things that I just want to go over is when to find an internship. Uh, when I first started looking for them, it was very last minute. It was the junior year of college in the end of the spring semester. Like halfway through the semester, I believe I started thinking about it and where I wanted to go. So I would ask around with people if their jobs had any like internings or if they needed me to do any projects for them. And I would just go around asking, and then I would also be applying. And you have to apply a lot in my personal experience. Like I applied to so many different places. I didn't have any experience at all. I was only experience I was working as a furniture salesman at the time and just focusing on school and trying to do good in school, but I had no experience as far as actually working in with a tech company and going through the day to day as far as that. Besides like working on projects in school, like I just was very eager and I wanted to be able to build the experience up. So I was trying to find them. I was applying to every place that had an off like application up anywhere I could find it, whether it was Indeed, LinkedIn, any place you can think of. I just kept trying to apply, and I put out a lot of applications. And in the processes, like even when I got certain interviews from people, I realized that it was really late. A lot of intern placing was starting to close down, at least in tech. I don't know about any other place because I don't have any professional experience in those other areas and businesses. But in tech and trying to be a software engineer intern or intern something like it, you have to apply during their season of applying. Well, you don't have to because I still managed to get out there, but there is a season to apply. And that season is about the end of summer and beginning of fall. That is, there's way more applications out. There's way more um, job postings and things like that to go out and look for during that season is pretty much the bread and butter of when to find all of the opportunities. And just how now you guys know that, everybody else who has either done an internship probably knows that or looking for them has found that out or and it's very competitive, but that is the time to like really go after it and try to find your internship and get one, at least in America. Like as I've found, like at that beginning of the school year in the fall semester, there's so many people like trying to put out applications and looking for jobs at that specific time to find internships for the next summer. So you have to start applying early, and you also have to really put a lot of energy into applying and just applying to as many places as you can. But I say that as many places that you can, but you also want to. Like I didn't apply to any specific FANG companies. I just had a personal reason of not particularly wanting to intern there or work there. So I just stayed away from those specific ones. If that's what you guys want to do, then go for it. But just apply for what you want to do. Read what it says. If it's your particular interest, especially during that time, there's going to be a lot more available. Even though there'll still be some later on in the year and things, it's just so much easier on the recruiters and the people who are doing that when you're putting those applications at that specific season because then everything will be rushed. Um, but basically, yes, that's the time that you have to or you should apply, in my opinion. And I believe a lot of other people will tell you the same thing too. Whether if they're in that same kind of business or line, they should know when the time is when they're pretty much looking for their interns for the next summer and etc. Just like that. And it may depend on the company as well too. But just for that, that's what you want to do. Um, Another thing is if you hear from a place and then you just like don't hear from them, say you did apply late like me at a time, I would hear from certain places and then I wouldn't hear from them for some time after things seemed to be good. it is okay to message them back and email them and send them a thank you email for getting to you or having an interview with you and other things with the recruiter or whoever's uh, emailing you or setting stuff up or the manager of the team that you're going to be working on. But it is always okay to, like, if you don't hear anything, I wouldn't say flood them crazy, but it's okay to pretty much poke at them and send them thank you emails and then ask the questions to try to get an update. And they will most likely respond then if you don't hear anything. Sometimes it's nice to poke at somebody because it really shows that you're kind of interested, at least in my opinion, and it could help you in the long run build a connection with a certain place and going from there. All right. So the next big thing of trying to find an internship and applying is your resume. As everybody knows, making resumes is pretty much like a job on its own, and trying to find the right template. Everybody wants to use somebody else's template. I found my resume from my school website. So I'm sure other schools have it too. They have resume templates, and my school specifically at UD had one for engineering students, and then they had like three to choose from. So I then pulled that resume and put my experiences on there and how the layout was. I filled in the information with my like GitHub to get to my projects, what projects I had and how they may be useful. Some projects will shine for other people more than others because it just depends on what the company or whoever is looking at is interested in once when you do get those interviews. So just think about that, what you kind of projects you want to have on there. How does it probably relate to what you'll be doing in the job? Because I will get more into that when I talk about how interviews go. But I would basically just use that. Think about that ahead of time when you're using certain projects on your resume, your experiences. The more experience that I noticed that you have in actual tech, the better it would be for like getting more people to respond or to get more interviews out of people or those coding challenges places and things to do for your interviews. I noticed that I did get more traction once when I did get my internship in the first round. After I had that, I did get more traction on interviews. And I also did notice when I applied in that season, I did get more feedback and interviews from that time as well. So experience definitely helps if you do have any, but if you don't have any, you should still try to put whatever projects you put out there and things like that. And what does it teach you? And what do you learn from it? And how can it help? Or how you can use it on your resume? And kind of bullet that out and keep it in a reasonable resume page length. Mine's is one page. Uh, and at the bottom have the languages that you use and that you know and like how proficient you probably are and things and just like things like that. Just the rest is basically just filling it out with your own personal information from there. So we have the seasons to apply, and then we also have the resume. Remember your school if you are in a university. And I even think, even if you're not in a university, you can probably go to a university's website and still look at their template resumes. Uh, and they'll probably even have one specific for engineering students that they have posted up there and use one, uh, and etc. So the last part of pretty much finding interview is going to be the do's or don'ts when you're in an interview. Mainly do's, what to do. Um, they're pretty much very positive going. I can feel that like when you're with somebody else, I'm sure everybody will be nervous. But one thing I noticed, if you're interviewing with somebody, just like in order to relax, just be yourself still. Um, your personality is going to take you a long way. Mind you, still keep it professional and everything when you're in your interviews, but still be yourself at the same time. And when you're also interviewing, you want to show your interests in learning different topics. Know what you kind of want to do, but you can be open to learning whatever. Depends on what the position is going to be having you do and what they're asking you to do. But be very open minded and be eager to learn. And you want the recruiters to really like feel that kind of energy coming from you, and it'll build off. You guys will end up building off of each other. Your nerves will probably calm down a little bit. I know coding challenges portions can be very like nerve-wracking and hectic, especially you're getting timed and you have to get things down, but it's okay. Just take every interview that you have as a learning example. I on every coding interview I've done, I haven't done the best on all of them. So like if you take every one as a learning example and try to feel out what they're going to be like for your first few interviews, it's totally okay. Like it's okay to not get every single one. You're not going to get every single job. As I said, it's very competitive, and like I'm just trying to give some examples on like what to do to really help you out, to try to put your put in more spotlight on you versus probably somebody else that's going to be interviewing at the same place. So remember, just your personality is very big, your ego to learn is very big, and ask questions. So if you like, if they're explaining or asking, do you know what kind of company they are and things like, it's okay to ask questions to kind of get more in depth of either what you're doing, what you're going to be doing on the job, what kind of company they are, etc. Just what's the team like, what's kind of the work area like, and everything like that is they're all great questions, especially when you're talking to the people who are exactly going to be on the team that are interviewing you if you do make it to those next rounds of interviews. And two other big things when you are in an interview is to know one, have some idea of what the company does or who they are. um, it'll help you in long run. You won't be blindsided by anything. You know exactly, well, not probably not exactly, but you'll have some rough idea of what you're stepping into. And just knowing a little bit about the company shows that you really took the time to look into them more. And it just shows, it basically will show your interest more to whoever's interviewing you, one-on-one and things like that. It just shows more dedication and interest. Like that, it's just so big. Your interest and your eagerness to be a part of something and be aware, just believe it's just very big on whoever's interviewing you. And if I was interviewing somebody, if these are what the things that they did or done, then that would be like awesome. And the last thing on interviews is, remember on the resumes where I said kind of nitpick at your projects to see what you might want to put on there? Because at the end of the day, your resume is going to have your GitHub link. So it is possible that they can look through your GitHub anyways. But if you put specific projects, like I had a project on my resume and I was talking to the interviewer and they asked me how, and I explained the project, and they asked me how the project can be relevant to their workspace and how could you use it for them. And basically I told them a few ways on I could use the project and or how the project could have been used and to benefit them or their team or company, etc. And knowing things like that, even if your project wasn't exactly meant to like help them or whatever, but if you have something like that and you can go through things like that, like there you go. That's a whole like check mark, check the box. Like you already have some experience in things that we do to day to day, and you've messed with some kind of whatever. It just depends on what it is. Like you have something that is beneficial to them, or you've done something that was beneficial, and you have the mindset to think of how things can be beneficial, especially in the long run of your internship, and things from there. So those are pretty much like when you're trying to find an internship in the technology industry for any kind of engineering, data engineering, software engineering, full stack, anything, even probably the little consulting ones that you probably will see. Um, just apply to them. Don't apply to any that are like free unless you just want extra experience and things. But there's a lot of options out there, and if you really take those steps into account, then I believe that you will be more successful in the end game, and you'll probably end up with a few options that you want to choose from. As I said, these are things that either helped me or that I was able to realize from past interactions and interviews and internship experience from before. So now to the real part about what is going to happen or what are you going to do once you start an internship. And once, say, you got one, you accepted their offer, now it's time for you to go into it. And this really mainly depends on your intentions. So everybody's going to have what, if you want to learn more, you're just doing this to learn more, you're just doing this to get experience. But having an internship, I believe, at least my end goal was to get a foot into a job there. So when I graduated, I had something lined up and that I would be ready to go, but I also have the experience and knowledge of the industry to go along with me. So I know my feelings going into my internship, especially with no prior experience. Imposter syndrome was a major thing, and I felt it at many different stages on it. Like it is quite a big thing. You can be nervous, but everything is going to be okay at the end. Um, promise me, I promise you, everything will be fine if you're going into one. But imposter syndrome definitely does feel like a thing that exists, but you'll be all right. Like I went in, I had no clue. I tried to like figure out the layout of the land. And I remember getting my first project to work on, and my internship was about 3 months, 90 days or so, the first round that I had. And I ended up finishing my project, I want to say within the first month, maybe month and a half, I finished it. I had a lot of guidance. The team was really helpful, but it's also helped with like I went out to do. Like I first thing I did is I was given a project, and the manager at the time or director on the team, the platform team that I was on, basically gave me the layout of my project. And the first thing that I did was just ask questions like, where is all of this? How do we use this? After my onboarding was done, like I was just trying to wrap my head around all the technologies that was being used for the project. And then I was also trying to figure out who has the experience on the team with these technologies, and who can I go to ask questions to, who can help guide me on the right path in some cases. And I really liked the members on my team because not everyone's not going to just give you the straight up answer all the time. They may give you like a little helpful hint on where to look at and things like that. But I remember asking somebody a question and they help guide me to the right way, but they're not giving me the full exact answer so that I'm still being able to get the experience of doing it. And I learned by doing. So I really appreciate that. Appreciated it. But as I got into like the project that I was given and everything like that, I was basically working with observability and of like data and things. But as I kept going into day to day, reading documentation, testing code, seeing what was already existing in their code, and going off of that, I was able to pick up on certain habits and pretty much going trying to find correct documentation on how to get something implemented, especially at the correct version, how to test it appropriately, how to know if it's working. And also, when I was doing my project, I probably thought I was done it 3 times, but every time I finished something, there was something else that was like either referenced or suggested that I can do on top of it to just make things better, or probably to either help with the observability or whatever. It's just every time I like thought I was done, just more came, and more came, and building off of it, and it really helped me figure out how to piece everything together from there. So one, it was just a really big help, and I really enjoyed it, and that's basically like how my first project kind of went. But now once when I finish the project, you have to present it or and everything and know about it and show everybody on the whole department team. Well, that's what I had to do. Maybe you guys won't have to do it, but that was all fun and stuff. But then once when you finish a project, you're given something else to do, and maybe it's harder. And this is why I say like imposter imposter syndrome felt like it was a reoccurring thing because yeah, now I have experience in doing that and managing that and messing with this one project and how to do this specific thing. Now I'm given something else, and I'm just stuck again for a while. And like I have to go through that whole process again, and like then you're feeling like if you're really good enough. And a lot of like what engineering is like trying to find it really is problem solving and solutions. Like if you feel like you can't do something no matter what, don't worry, like you will be able to get there. And everybody on your team and the internet is really your resources that can help you guide you through whatever problem you're going through. And having the mindset and the knowledge of how to solve certain things, and even if you know how to solve certain things, then you just building more of your value of your knowledge on how to fix certain things. Because this goes back to when I was talking about, hey, does this person know what is going on with this particular technology? Like, there are people on the team who have more experience on this technology than the other one. And that's what really brings value to them. And doing projects like that can help build value for yourself, especially if you were to go somewhere else or stay at that company. Now you're a team member that has the knowledge around this specific functionality and how this works and how whatever it is that this company would use day to day and things, like you now have that knowledge. So it's always great, but as long as you're willing to keep going at it and keep asking questions, then you should be okay. As long as you Like just keep your foot on the gas and just keep rolling. I suggest that's just the best ways to go about it. And yeah, so that's pretty much a run through of what to do for your first project, at least. Now that you finished your first project, you're probably wondering like, and you keep finishing all your projects, you're probably wondering like where to go from here. Um, as far as like getting into the actual internship, I kind of want to talk about like what you really have to do besides just working on your project and like feeling down that you can't do something. Besides that, like as I said with your interviews, some of the things that you do in your interview, you want to carry into your actual internship. So one, like as I said in interviews, like your personality is very big. Who you are and being able to just be yourself and like of course again in a professional way, but still being yourself is so big. Like the where I work, there's such a big grasp on like community and everybody in the culture that just brings everything together. And I really love that about where I work. But like just be yourself and like you should really be okay just off of that. And going beyond like just being yourself, um I also said like be eager to like want to learn new things and ask new questions, like ask questions. Like even in the interviews I said that you need to do that when you're in your internship. Ask questions. You don't know how to do something and you've tried to find a solution on your own. Ask questions. You hear people presenting something that they were working on. Ask questions. If you are confused about something that people were talking about, ask questions. Like, and just write it down or take notes of it and just learn from it or look it up. If you hear certain like phrases and things like that, look them up, see what they mean. How are they useful? How can you relate it to what you're doing? And then how can you use that knowledge? And like, when you're really in internships, like be a sponge. It shouldn't only be about just like completing a project. Like I believe if you just go into an internship and you're given projects to do and you just do them and that's it, I don't think it's gonna like help you really get the return offer that you probably were looking for and stuff. Like you need to really like try to find a way to base yourself and into the community that is there and kind of be memorable. Like everybody on the team should know who you are. You should talk to people and stuff like that. If you're kind of antisocial, I don't really like being expressive and getting out there, but I kind of got out my comfort zone a little bit for a while when I was interning and until I got comfortable. And then I became comfortable with all my colleagues and everybody began to like know who I was and what kind of personality I have. And they've kind of figured that and could see that I was very eager to learn something new or try to help out as best as possible. And I believe those are things that can really make yourself look very valuable. Like being able to express to everybody and for your managers and higher ups to be like he or she or whoever you are, like they can tell that you want to do more and they can tell that you want to be able to learn more even though you're not at the expectation because you're just an intern, is very big. It is it is very big. Like I don't recommend just going in there and trying to be a know-it-all and just get your projects done and things like that. Like I believe it's just you just have to bring all of these things together. Like of course still finish your projects and get tasks done because you still have to be proficient and be able to get work done. Then they have to be able to see you get the work done. But you also have to be able to pick up stuff and be knowledgeable and it's okay to ask dumb questions. You're an intern. Ask as many dumb questions as possible. You will learn more from it. Even if you think it's dumb. There are people who work there that are software engineers and stuff that will probably what you might think or others may think is a quote unquote dumb question, they're really not. It's okay to ask questions. Not in Especially in our field and technology and engineering, everybody does not know everything. It is nearly impossible to know everything that's going on. But if you guys all have a community together that you guys can feed off each other, build off each other, and ask these types of questions, then and have these kind of relationships, then they really help. And to kind of intertwine your with everybody and have some kind of relationship, it really helps. One thing that helped me also is I asked our manager for a mentor. And every week I would meet with this person, I would ask questions. Well, we can talk cordially, build some kind of colleague relationship or whatever, friendship, and just really just talk about stuff maybe sometimes, or even like my mentor would help me if I would had a question, or if I was stuck on something, or would help me get answers out of people who I may not feel comfortable talking to because I'm a little intern and things. So like it they a mentor can really help you. If somebody was willing to mentor you on the team, which I'm sure somebody would be able to or be willing to, then take that advantage, ask for one. And that just further on pulls like your interest of wanting to know more and being put into that community that works there. And pretty much it will end up being like you pretty much just work there. And yes, you'll have the title of intern, but everybody would just probably just start feeling that like, yeah, you're one of them, and like you are like really working there. Oh, and I believe that's just very big. Also, like another big thing to do when you're in your internship, just like try to volunteer to help on certain things. I don't know if I said this already, but if you see something and that you may want to try or whatever, volunteer on doing it and express what you want to work on. Especially once when you start knowing what everybody starts doing over there, like express what kind of things you may want to do next or work on, and what your interests are, and talk to those people and ask them what it's like and how things are getting done. That's very big. You're gonna learn a lot. You gain a lot of experience from it, etc. Things like that. But that is also very big. Along with, if you really want to be an overachiever, when you're done and you're off and done working, try learning on some extra time. You After working, you'll have some kind of rough idea of what technologies you use. You can now just like try to learn more about it, read more into it. If you're not working, if you want to be an overachiever, as I said, like you should, if you you should already be interested in it, I believe, especially working in this field. If you have no interest in working in this field, it'd probably be tougher for you. But if you're really interested in what you're doing and the technologies and stuff, then it would be easier to really look into them more and trying to get more insight on it. And it just builds up your value and your knowledge of it overall. So basically, that's about like everything on getting through your internships. But I have one more special little thing is now, what if you're not graduating yet and you need a job or whatever? Um, how can you basically stay interning or intern again, possibly, because you haven't graduated yet from a place, and say you love it there and things. At my job, as I said, I had multiple internships from them and contracts. So one thing that I would do, since I wasn't graduating as soon, I would ask for extensions on my internship contract, or just like ask if I can like come back, or things like that. Just um expressing that you want to be there to your manager, probably not. I'm not saying do it like all the time and things like that, or like don't do it like your first week there or something, but towards the end, not the very end, but towards kind of the end, middle end, I would express my your interest into wanting to continue there, or keep doing stuff there and things like that. I don't think it always has to be over at that deadline. It definitely depends on circumstances and what's going on, probably with like the company or the team that you're on and stuff like that. It probably There's probably a lot that really depends on that, but express your interest of wanting to be there. If you want to be there, like make it be known. Obviously, like getting into the community and stuff there, and like the culture at your company is very big on already showing people that you want to be there and stuff. But just sometimes it would be nice to like make it crystal clear that you actually do, and I believe that would help. So, but yeah, so that's everything that I have on interning and with tech companies as right now. So as I said, I hope everybody like enjoyed listening, and if you have any questions, like I said before, ask them. Please do. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that anybody asks, and I'll be if you want to hear about certain things, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to talk about it, what I found interesting about them, and etc. from there. And thank you again for listening. Please share. I appreciate everybody took their time to really listen. I really want to make these episodes the best possible, and everybody who does listen, but just motivates me more to try harder and make them better. And I hope that you guys will be able to see the growth in this podcast as times goes. So thanks again. Don't forget to share. This is Dev Talks with Travian, and we're out.